Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miranda. I work a full-time job and I have been maybe not being as consistent with my content creation for Passion Planner, but I am a Passion Planner ambassador, and today I want to talk through building habits because yours truly has lost a lot of the habit building and actually putting pen to paper, markers to paper. So I'm going to walk through my morning routine and my evening routine based on my Passion Planner. So I think beauty of the Passion Planner is they offer a space to go through what your passions are, what you are looking to roadmap. You can see I really didn't pull back into this wish list maybe as much as I should in the beginning of the year, but that's okay because I think what is beautiful about the Passion Planner, especially the undated version that I have, is that you can, if you didn't do like me where I already put all the dates, you can kind of stop and go as you please. And what I love about it is the week to week, it's continuous, and at the very beginning you see that month to month. So I am here in the middle of July saying, I need to reassess. I'm gonna start with my morning routine. So I work flexible work from home schedule. So some mornings I do a really long routine and others I do more of a mini routine. But at the core of what I like to incorporate is something creative. So I think of creativity as a sketch, as maybe some reading, maybe some journaling. Oh, my cat. Bless you, buddy. I also like to meditate. That's 5 minutes, usually my minimum. If I can do longer, amazing. If not, I won't. And then there is the classic just hygiene, skincare, shower. I typically will shower, especially if in the morning I do a workout. I think when it comes to skincare shower, this is about 20 minutes and my shower is another 20 minutes. And you'll see why I put these times kind of as we go through it. Workout, I spend about 60 minutes. That doesn't include my shower, but I do want to incorporate it. I also like to start my morning with reading. So I kind of put it in this creative, but I'm actually going to move it over into its own thing because reading for me comes in two parts: the current events, what is happening in the news, what's happening in my industry. I like to make at least a 30-minute time block for reading, and then if I can do additional reading of what I'm calling fun reading, I'll make some point for that. Fun reading could be anything from what I find on magazines to what I find in my most current book. Now, why I kind of set it up in this way is I like to think of my mini routine, the bare minimum of what I want to do every day. So that looks like meditate. That looks like our morning skincare. And that looks like current events. And I am gonna do a journal because I do think journaling, passion planning, that is where if I can get it out of my head, especially in the morning, I set up myself so well for the day. So I'm gonna give myself 15 minutes for journaling, 30 minutes for current event, morning skincare for 20 minutes, and then I will do 5 minutes here. So we have 20, 40, 50, 60, 70 minutes. So about an hour for my mini morning routine. Now, if I want to do full, that looks a little different. We do, of course, incorporate all of what is already in the mini, but I'm gonna add, especially in order, because I think this helps me. I'm gonna do my workout, I'm gonna shower, my morning skincare, I'm gonna do makeup. Then I'm going to journal, and then current event reading. Now that is 5 minutes, 60 minutes. I'm gonna give myself 20 minutes for that. I typically I have a lot of hair, so when I have showers that involve doing my hair, I do them in the evening, and I allocate like 60 full minutes to it. Also because I feel like I like to have fun and not rush. Plus humidity in the summer, it's a whole thing. Anyway, morning skincare, that's a solid 20 minutes. Makeup, I can do in 5 to 10 minutes, but I'll give myself 15 here. Journal, I'll give myself another 15, and then for current events, I'll do 30. So here I have 30, an hour 40, an hour 45, 2 hours and 45 minutes. So 60, 120, 165 minutes, which is 2 hours and 45 min. Now, that is my full. And if you are familiar, you might know that I have this like color coding system. So in the morning, there's really, I did not include breakfast. So I'm gonna add 30 minutes for breakfast because that is absolutely part of this routine. And it's a key component in my colorway of food and drink, breakfast. But we're also gonna utilize this colorway just in general so that on that week to week view, you can see how I'm incorporating it. Now for the evening routine, this is where I feel like the sketching creativity, my more fun reading absolutely comes in. But I also, during the week, like to incorporate social events. I like to incorporate dates. I like to incorporate my community work. So this is evening, weekday routine. And I'll go through, I think, the weekend routine maybe in another video, but I want to keep this as a core element of this video because I think just planning your Monday through Friday, especially if you're work from home, you have a more entrepreneurial setup, it can really give you the space and energy to keep your work to the work week, maybe even less than 5 days if you can schedule it right, and then make space for your passions as you see to prioritize them. So I talked about community. I have different nonprofits I volunteer with. I have food banks I like to volunteer with. The food bank sessions that I go to are in the morning, so that definitely doesn't always fit in the evening, but I do like to include it here. And then lastly, I am a mentor, so I like to volunteer and just generally mentor people in my community. There's date nights. I like to have at least one date night a week, and even if it's a solo date night, making time for romance and just like fun is key. Speaking of friend hangs, I need to have more social, friend, platonic fun, and I think that's something that during the weekday I have the ability to do. I just don't prioritize it. So with Fashion Planner, I'm prioritizing meal prep. I love to meal prep. I have a vegetable share from a local community share agriculture, CSA, where on Tuesdays I'm doing that for hours, sometimes in tandem with a virtual community call. And I like to read. I will put this here as my evening, no electronic. So after 9 p.m., no screens. And that's usually where I get my reading time. So we'll do a little community. I'm gonna put friend hangs and date nights interchangeably, partly so that I can see what's happening. Now meal prep, that might come off confusing, but what I'm gonna do is essentially have my evenings in one of these two colors and then meal prep just in the ether. And then I'll do, maybe I'll actually do wellness, because meditation, this is personal wellness, skincare. Yep, workout. Okay, so I'm gonna do this for morning actually. This will be my morning routine and this will be my evening routines. Work is always blue, partly because I have a million of these. So let me go through the 3-hour versus 1 hour mini prep. So key part, I think, before I start putting the passions in is to understand when I have meetings. So I'm going to go in with my work color and outline when I know I have my one-on-one meetings, or broadly just like project times. I know that Tuesday, sometimes I have earlier meetings, sometimes I have pretty late meetings. I have a team that's global, so I like to remain flexible, and I'm really grateful that my job offers a lot of flexibility in the fact that I can kind of take time as I need to take time. I also generally don't have meetings on Fridays, so I feel very lucky in that aspect. So let's go kind of through the morning routine. Let's talk about wellness. So as we saw, I had like a 3-hour kind of block when I am doing my full routine. For like instances like on Tuesday, I don't have that luxury maybe in the morning. So doing a mini routine where maybe I do a workout later or later in the week or earlier in the week can be beneficial. So what I'm gonna do is, for this one, that's gonna be my morning mini, morning full. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and a half. I'm gonna do a morning here. 1, 2, 3. Get on by 9 o'clock. Thursday, also think I'm gonna do kind of the same thing. And then on Fridays, I'm gonna just do a mini. So that's really up until that 1 hour. With work, I like to have kind of blocks of 2 to 3 hours. So before I take a break, and then do like 2 or 3 of those to equal my 8 to 9 hour days. Like I said, I have a lot of flexibility, so I know not everyone can start at 10 a.m. And also I know that sometimes Mondays, I'm not always starting this late. Sometimes I do a little bit earlier. So anyway, I'm gonna do a work block from here to here. I'm gonna take 1:30 to 2:30 for lunch. Take that. So we have 1, 2, 3.5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going up until 7 for a work block. And then in the evenings, I do a community session there. So that's gonna be my community block up until about 9. 9 is when I start reading. So I try to be really mindful of when I'm starting, when I'm going, what this looks like. I actually think I really like the idea of taking these away. This also gives me a lot of space to do what I call my bare minimum Monday, which really just starting the week off on the smallest amount I can do possible that gets me set up for the rest of the week. So Tuesday, I have an early meeting, and generally once I get on, I like to stay on. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4.5, get me up to 12 o'clock. 12 to 1, I'll take lunch. Then I'll do kind of another work block. So that's like a morning. Morning mini. So I have that. Do lunch. Make time for dinner. So for work, I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 8. I like to do 9 hours on Tuesday, or at least have the flexibility to do that. Key reason why is once I do my meal prep, one, I have to go pick up my veggies, but then I'm doing meal prep up until 8. And you'll see as I go through this, I do my meal prep twice a week. Part of it is because I live in New York, so I do have to go to the grocery store more than once a week, or at least I have the ability to. But then also I like to kind of keep things fresh, and depending on my social outings, if I have leftovers or anything, having the option to meal prep later helps. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you got what I'm trying to say. Community events also happen during on Tuesdays. So actually from 7 to 8, I have a call that I go to, but like I said, I do it simultaneously and it's virtual, which I really appreciate. Wednesdays, I'm gonna keep that open. Actually, no, I'm going to give my full views here. So we have work from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. Now, key part of when I'm like putting this work block in, there is truly no way I can be fully focused for that amount of time fully. I don't think that is possible. So I will include a break, and especially when it's like this big of a block, 30 minutes, very attainable for something like this, a 15-minute break. And I will put it on my calendar as out of office, just so that people recognize that I am taking the time. Morning, we'll do the full thing. We'll set ready at 9:30. We'll get that work going and go through lunch. So that's 1, 2 hours, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm gonna end my days at 6:30. Now Thursdays and Fridays really do depend on kind of my workload. At this point of Thursday, I generally can get all of my programs and projects set up. So by the time I'm leaving on Thursday to happy hour, friend hangs, this is kind of where social, this is where I feel like start to think about, okay, meeting, work, focused work, break. When I get to this point of the week, I start to think about, okay, what have I done? What haven't I done? What do I still need to do? A key component, I think, of this point of time is also understanding what financial matters I have. So on Friday mornings, especially after like a payday, I like to take the first hour and do a financial review. This personally, month to month, can look different. Sometimes it's on Fridays, sometimes it's on a Sunday. Sometimes I like to have like a nice dinner, get myself some wine, sit down. It's a very detailed overview, but it's also making sure my financial goals that I set at the beginning of the year are being updated. After that, at 9, I like to think about like a learning time. There's a theory about personal development, 70-20-10, meaning 70% of your time about learning is on the job, 20% is in mentorship, and 10% is in formal trainings. 10% of a 40-hour work week is 4 hours. Now, it's still considered work, but I want to actually set up like a focus block. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that'll get me through lunch, and it'll get me, I think, into a spot where I can start kind of thinking about like, all right, what else do I have to do that day? What else can I, think about for like future? I know right now the economy, layoffs, the job market, it's all very uncertain. So taking time in my day, at least personally, I'd love to think about like, how do I think about future Miranda and setting myself up to be able to plan for some of these other instances. Because at this point of the week, I usually am pretty set with what's going on. I have a period after lunch where I'm doing maybe more of my networking. I am going to a social hour, but I'm kind of calling it by 5:30. So, if it's a coffee chat or if it gets bled into a work happy hour, we're all considering it still. We're considering this work. And then after that Friday, that's when I think the fun begins. Sometimes I will say at this point, depending on what Wednesday looks like, Wednesday can be my self-care day, meaning I do cleaning. This is a good reminder. After all this meal prep, I know I'm gonna clean. So I'm gonna put, this is my households color. I'm putting an hour on the books for cleaning there. On Saturday mornings, I like to sleep in, let's be real, 2 hours there. And then on Sunday mornings, or rather the afternoons, I also like to put just some like cleaning, laundry time. I think usually this is cleaning the kitchen, and then this is more laundry. I'll block off my social time until 10. As I've gotten older, I do feel that taking some time on Friday to do like more low-key social events sets me up for the weekend to actually have a lot more fun and to don't know, be more mindful, meaningful. Also, if you just were like, holy crap, that like really pissed me off, I'm so sorry. I have to get better at this, but this I think will kind of at least show how I'm thinking about what I'm trying to do. Prep on Sundays. I like to do meal prep, laundry. This is yeah, I'm a working girl. I'm like, what else is there? Community. I do need to incorporate media editing and like video editing for this kind of day, but also I want to be really mindful that not every hour needs to be planned, and this is kind of a loose structure of what blocks of time do I have and what do I want to use them for. I like that I'm keeping Wednesday kind of open, so if I need to, you know, do a little bit more personal wellness, maybe I want to switch, you know, my meeting around, maybe I want to do some reading. I think a key part of what I have here is that during the weekdays, essentially 9:30 to 10:30, I already have kind of this block set up where I can do some reading, and it's kind of crazy. 30 minutes of reading a day, at least for the last 5 years, has accumulated for me into about a book a week. And just having that daily reading, whether I'm doing it at nighttime, maybe I'm commuting to work, that would look different because I am working from home fully here. That all kind of stacks up. But yeah, I'm curious of how you're thinking about setting up habits. What are you prioritizing? How are you thinking about laying out your week? And are you someone who fully plans out everything, or do you keep a little room for some magic? Let me know.